Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dana. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right, complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So
they can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renin ladder is considered superior to being a Danan. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is! Lost blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this Red Woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That Red Woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them. There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegis's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this Red Woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the Sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a sovereign in our midst. In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds.
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't see...
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance...
Shion's right. Who knows?
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads. Beyond that wall lies a city full of Renans. A capital city where Shion and Dohalim used to live, no less. Who knows what we'll find on the other side?
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior, too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, look...
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself, okay, Do?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, It would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept...
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world.
We need more information.
While we're at it, we can ask...
And don't forget about finding the way to the
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danins put...
Good idea. I think that's...
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its...
Right. Then we'll leave it to you. The Danins among... I should probably keep our heads down.
What if people freak out?
I shall explain it away by saying I'm leading you.
What are we, dogs?
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just whatever did we do to...
You really have no clue.
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior... We have no choice. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on down.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty.
As your lordship wishes. First, Lenegis mutates beyond recognition. Now, this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plan. The Ilkaris House has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be...
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale.
Your lordship! Oh, what a... I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I witnessed the deaths of...
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in...
All red, eh? No, I can't...
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise.
Never mind. Forget I asked. Is everything okay?
Hmm? Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is...
I suppose the Sovereign knows I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for... I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! What
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and...
You'd really do that for me?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renan, first and...
Oh, why yes, my...
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here.
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people...
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been... Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them...
The Sovereign? There is one thing I'm still not sure about.
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would...
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of... Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met...
No.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that...
Hold up, what are you...
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication?
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, what if something were to happen to the city?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he... But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler.
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of... Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, as for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the... That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason?
I can't say for sure.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other... We never did see Volron's body back and get... Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that...
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma?
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's enough...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that...
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana.
Then it's decided.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to it. Let's go find it!
With nobody left to run the show, I mean, there's Sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld.
But Dohalim...
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about...
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able...
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Cannibal, now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know...
Well, yeah, to us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Yeah.
If you're that curious about them, why not try... Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on... And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which...
Yes!
Yes!
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
Hmm?
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Ganons?
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed, the effects of Lenegis...
Pardon me.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay. Ah!
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Haros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah. despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfricht Milgras, the former Lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfricht whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
But why are you here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You're just a cat!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Yeah. It must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the look.
You think? Man, these Renan sure know how to live it up.
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we Avakir, Faria, and
Tarnigan. He was the one that Faria mentioned.
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed. Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possessed entranced by her playing. I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have. Once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affect. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own, and even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnigan had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelon. But fate was...
What happened?
Tarnigan was no match for me in combat, but he was desperate and low on options.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right?
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend...
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her
That's not the same as running away.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under...
Shion's right. You've saved so many people. You saved me. It's so... Try not to blame yourself.
Frank as always. But I shall...
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for some...
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right. Alphen.
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
guy... Has checked your equipment lately?
Damn it! Lennigus soldiers!
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting to fight.
Oh! I am Lord Dohalim of Elden Menencia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Smash you!
It's almost too strong. Be my guest. I'm ready. In an instant. Impact block.
See what happened there as you crossed me. Shouldn't have done that. The everlasting dog. No need to break this annihilation. Eat this on the wind.
Here I go.
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'm ready!
Get toasty!
Bird strike!
Glacier shield! Rise and rend!
Bloody howling!
Rising weather.
Make it good strike!
Take it.
Hey! Blow them away!
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's...
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's...
Indeed. They seem to and yet, traditionally, Lennigus hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied...
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Harros.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lennigus.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here. And the soldiers are their way of letting us...
Well, with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop...
It'll be a breeze. Get in, get out!
Not today.
I'll blind you with a shot! Elusive deity!
These ones can run rings around us! Like that!
I'm just getting started!
Do it! Get toasty!
Leave the ensnaring to me.
Yeah, and the cuddling to me.
Dance on the wind.
I can carve through armor.
Take this! Rising Wyvern! Strike! I'm ready! Force!
Demons descend!
Flashing bang! My turn! Seismic strike!
You shouldn't have messed with me.
Rising Wyvern! Seismic deity! Can you take it? Sonic thrust! Azure storm!
Eat this!
Elusive deity! I'm ready! Quite necessary when creating weaponry. Let's see what you've got.
If it's in the sky, it's mine.
Take it! Strike!
I don't pass on the handshake.
Eagle Fly!
Now, in the group!
Orochi's Fury! Eagle Fly! I'll finish you here and now!
You're mine! Azure Storm!
Oh, now I'm real mad!
Orochi's Fury!
Swallow Dance!
Eagle Fire! You're mine! Orochi's Fury! This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for. Get behind me.
Got it!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Begin! Orochi's Fury! This one's all mine! Let's go! My turn! Try harder! Here I come! Soaring Alpha!
Storm!
Reflect on that! Orochi's Fury!
Eagle Assault!
From execution! Rending you apart! Now! Take this!
Lunar correction!
Bloody hell!
Hear my power!
Try harder! My turn! Sword Rain Alpha! Sorry, but this fight ends here! Go faster!
Now, Asuna!
Right!
Eat this! You're mine!
Surfing Knuckles!
Thrust!
Pull myself together.
Azure Storm! Soaring Alpha! Try hard! I'm not done! Negative Gate Alpha! Another incantation ruined.
You see what happened there is you crossed me.
Take this!
Shouldn't have done that.
Annihilation!
Raging Lunar Storm! Slide! Force Blast! Take this! The flame inside me! You're
Watch this!
let free! Try harder! Do it!
Johalim!
All yours, Kisara!
I need to be stronger.
Gotta break through!
I see one, eh?
Eat this! Can you take it? Take down their defenses!
Engaging!
Take this!
Fire support!
Rising Wyvern! Point Blast!
Fire in the hole!
New escape!
See what happened there is you crossed me.
Stand back!
Shouldn't have done
I'll
that.
trip it up! It's over! Here I come! Sword Rain Alpha! Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclops!
Now! You're mine!
Swallow Dance!
This one's mine!
We're not finished! Rising I'm ready! So chill!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished! Now! Take it! Dance on the wind! I'm not done! Blood. Rending you bloody howling.
Don't get complacent.
Way.
Now you'll learn!
Not today! Take this!
Water, hear my call!
Here I come!
They really don't give up, do they?
I'll smash you! I'll grind you to dust! Here I come! Strike! Void Blast! Rising Falcon! Take this!
Denied!
Thank you!
Do it! Get toasty!
Bird Strike! Not a chance!
Radiant, look here!
Rising Double Dare for us to pass! Strike! Soaring Alpha! Not a chance!
Hurricane! By the
My exploits are bearing fruit.
The soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on sight.
Is someone making them stand?
No backing down! First strike!
Let's go in mine!
Super solo dash!
As if the normal creepy crawlies aren't disgusting enough.
I'm not done! I'm on it!
Negative storm!
I'll stop its charge!
Thanks, Kisara!
Take this!
Annihilation!
Try this! Talon Storm! Leave the charges to me! Blow away! Thanks!
These fists have got your name on them!
I'm not done!
Now I'm in the groove!
I'm not done! I'll raise you with a shot! Sword Ring Alpha! Make you the official beast!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Talon Storm! You're mine! No escape!
Take this!
Eat dirt! Eagle Ray! Sword Ring Alpha! Try and blind you with a shot! Rending Blast! Try this! Rending Blast!
That freaking does it!
You're mine! Had enough of you! No escape!
Healing circle!
Thanks! You're mine! Sword Ring Alpha! It's over!
Raging Moonlight Storm! Armor won't save you!
Annihilation!
You're not try harder! Not this time!
Rip it
I'm not done!
I'll heal you all! Dead!
Denied! Shouldn't have messed with me!
Take it! Strike!
Eagle Fly!
My big blade! I owe you one!
Finish without a trace!
Double demon!
I'm on you! I'll end you!
Double demon!
I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
opponent like this should be easy.
Try harder!
I'm not
You're
done!
ready and ready! Burn!
Pull myself together.
He's the agile one.
Searing gale! Here I come! Swallow dance! You're mine! Rising light!
Sorry for troubling.
Take this! Rising light!
This one's mine.
Take this!
Armor won't save you! Negative gate!
Rising light!
This ends now.
Consider yourself finished! Now! Take this! Orochi's Fury!
This one's all mine.
Shouldn't have messed with me!
Clear for us a path.
Rising light! Stardust!
Do it. Get toasty.
Burn strike!
Waters, hear my
Take
call.
this!
Raging Luna Storm.
Soaring light spear! Blue escape!
Do it. Steel, astral energy, full throttle.
I wonder if we can make new weapons with this.
Lost.
You're mine! Bring him down! Strike!
Thank you.
Rising light!
I'm the true gunslinger around here.
You've got spirit!
Swordling Alpha! Orochi's Fury!
Water.
Rising Luna Storm! Rising Falcon! Mr. Point! Rising Wyvern!
Here's evil. Ready to go.
In a bind.
Orochi's Fury! Azure Storm! Take this! Rising Wyvern!
These fists have got your name on them!
Here I come! Not done!
Mission.
You're mine! Storm! Orochi's Fury!
Let's keep our eyes on the prize.
Discourteous, aren't you?
Burn in hell!
Talon Hurricane!
Orochi's Fury!
Tear!
Azure Storm! You're mine!
Your reflexes will not serve you
Swordling
well.
Alpha!
I never miss.
I'm just getting started! Talon
Strike!
Hurricane!
You're finished! Void Blast! You're mine! Prepare to be Soaring Light Spear!
Tear!
I'm not
These
done!
fists have got your name on them!
Rising Wyvern!
Soaring Blast!
Strike! Void Blast!
Eat this!
Rising Falcon! Stardust!
I'm ready!
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade!
Do it! Now! You're mine! Kisara!
Commander of Heaven.
Phoenix Cyclone!
Ha! Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood.
Let's dispose of the trash.
Negative gate.
I won't show you any mercy!
Execute.
I'll finish you here and now! In a bind? I'm ready! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang! My turn! I'm not done! Now you see what I can do! Now I'm in the groove!
Let the marksman handle this.
I'm ready!
Law, I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life! Ground! Glimmer Dragon! Escape! Eagle Assault! This is all mine! Eagle Bomb! Take this! Soaring Alpha! Orochi Fury! Rising Wyvern!
Xion, Astral Energy! Full throttle!
We're not finished!
Do it!
Swallow Dance!
Well, then, let's keep moving.
It'll be a breeze. Get in, get out. Can you take it? Soaring Blast! Rising Wyvern! I'm going in! Swirling Alpha! No further! Storm! Finish it! Alpha! In an instant! Impact Block!
There's always room for improvement.
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
But it's just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was Sovereigns only.
Alphen.
Yes! It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the Sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the...
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the Sovereign and Maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Danon. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for. Let alone what they're going to force me to do as the Sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the Maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home. I can't do this alone. One more day.
How could I say no to that? It's not like I have any choice in the matter anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. We couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other. So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their... damn ceremony. You get me to Dana. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danon astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegus. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah. It was all just a little sudden. That's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dana from the Renans. But now that we're here, it seems those same I'd like to liberate them too, if I can. Which is just another reason
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion. Your desire to... Not that I'm complaining. Come on.
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion, there's no telling what could happen in here.
Faria, how did you get in here?
Wait, something about her isn't right.
What's wrong with her? She doesn't even seem to know where she is.
Yeah, you're right. She looks just like the soldiers we encountered outside.
A summoning?
But that's preposterous. She never had that kind of power when...
We can talk later. Here it comes!
What? I've never known Faria to invoke symbols like that before.
How about with a stone that looks suspiciously like a master sword?
Where did she get her hands on that?
First we handle the Zugos, then we get some answers.
Exploit the enemy's weakness.
Super swallow day! An instant! Hurricane! Hurricane! I'm all stocked up!
Watch sonic thrust! Be still! Take this! Catapult!
Mega ray! Super swallow day! Talon hurricane!
Soaring light spear!
Eagle thigh! A charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop!
Abyssal deep. Clear for
Be still!
Talon hurricane!
Rip and tear!
You picked the wrong fight!
Lunar blast!
Orochi's fury! Rising Wyvern!
Does it hurt?
Strike!
Does it hurt?
I'm on it!
That's
Power
it!
up!
Crescent blast!
Big blast!
Electrocyte sin.
By the
They
power
smite
of
with
water!
blackened blade! Execution
Talon
in a bind!
hurricane! It's weakened!
This end is now!
Lunar corruption!
Outline you with
Lunar
shock!
blast!
Elusive death!
Here, let me help!
Elusive deity!
First aid!
Sword Rain Alpha! Orochi's fury!
Freezing storm!
Nothing gets by me!
Ice tornado!
Rising Falcon!
Here's a healer! First aid!
I'm on it! Be still!
Resonate with the
Break it
earth.
through! Lewis escape!
Stalagmite! Rending you apart!
Soaring lift spear!
Bloody
Try harder!
Not a chance!
Talon storm!
Strike!
Negative
Healing
gate!
circle!
Orochi's fury!
I'm ready!
I'll stop your movement!
And I'll stop your life!
Into the center hurricane!
Rising Wyvern! Ignite!
Negative gate!
Point flash!
Stalagmite!
Rending you Orochi's fury!
Bloody
Here comes the big one!
Now I'm real mad!
Try harder! My turn!
Here, let me help!
Swallow dead!
I'll face you!
Here I come! Not now, not ever!
Mega ray!
Negative gate! Rending you apart!
Eagle assault!
You'll pay for that!
Thunder knuckle!
Watch it! Here we go again!
Here's a healing arm! This one's mine!
Orochi's fury! Rising Wyvern!
Now or never!
Rising...
This is some
Healing
punishment.
circle!
You
I'll
picked
bring
the
you
wrong
back from
fight!
death to this!
First strike! I'm not done!
Resuscitation!
Escape!
Water! Here's my
I
home!
can carve through. What's this?
Spread!
over! Burning!
It's in your hands now.
Stay away from my friend!
Freeze Lancer!
Be still! You're mine!
I'm almost impressed.
My praise coming from you.
I said almost. Don't get carried away.
Explosive ring!
Elusive deity! Let the marksman handle this.
You picked the wrong fight!
It was not well planned.
Anything in armor is all mine! Armor won't save now! I'm in the
He's trying to take us out.
Where are you
Well, I
going?
will go quiet! Orochi's Fury! Snake of the abyssal deep, clear for us a path! Try harder! Not a chance!
Healing circle!
My turn! Struck! You're mine! I'm ready! Kisara! Commander of Heaven! Phoenix Cyclops! Now it's just her! Faria! Can you hear me? Faria!
She's preparing another summoning!
The art she's casting is way too powerful to control. At this rate, her body won't be able to take much more.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Man, I thought we were goners.
Everything okay?
Yes. She's only unconscious.
Not her. I meant you.
Shion, please. Can you treat her?
I can try, but I can't promise she'll be back to her real self.
We're not even supposed to be in here. Maybe it'd be better if we moved her to somewhere.
In that case...
I'll take her off your hands.
You?
Avakir, what are you...
I was curious what you were up to, so I took the liberty of... I overheard what you said about Tarnigan, about how he really died.
And you believed me?
I like to think I know you a little better than that, Dohalim. I'll take Faria. I know better than to ask what you're up to, but whatever...
Thank you.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying. As for Faria, it's always the closest to me who get hurt.
You don't seriously blame yourself for what happened to her.
Somebody got to her, to strike back at me. Someone who knew me well enough to know that I'd hesitate to fight back. And the same goes for you as well. Neither you nor Faria would have lost loved one.
You're wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed my brother. Under order. As for Tarnigan, if it weren't for the but that's why we're fighting.
Indeed. Ridding society of this blight is really the only...
You can't I know it hurts to hear, but those people are dead. Forgiveness, acceptance...
So I just forget the...
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember, not for those already passed.
For those...
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference in the lives.
That's what living's all about. Being able... Punishing yourself for the past won't make the pain of your conscience go away.
Only fixing the problem in its stead. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You have to live for tomorrow, Dohalim. Not for yesterday.
Don't forget, we've still got a mystery to...
Shion.
Huh?
Thank you. You have my...
Glad to...
I'm glad we could stop Faria without hurting her.
You all did much...